Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about my spring/summer TBR. I know we're halfway through spring already, so I thought I would just tell you the books that I have on my radar for the rest of spring and into summer. I have 3 different categories of books here. Not like genres. I have a bunch of different genres on here, but I don't have them separated by genre. But I do have the 3 categories are new releases that I don't have yet or they're not out yet. And then Kindle/audiobooks. These are books that I already have downloaded on my Kindle or downloaded for audio on my Libby. And then the 3rd category, which is the biggest category, is physical TBR. These are the books that I already own that I would like to get through. Also, I wanted to mention a big chunk of these books are probably going to be romance, because I'm a person who loves to read romance books, like strictly romance books, in spring and summer. It's just the perfect book to sit out by the pool and read. So I love reading them in the summertime. So there are still some mystery, there are still some like general fiction, and there are still some fantasy, but a big chunk of them are romances. So let's just start with the new releases that I have that I would like to get to. The first one is probably one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and it is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have read every single one of her books except for one. So I love her. She is one of my favorite authors, and I am super excited for this one. I don't know too much about it, but I do know that I want to say it's about a girl who works at NASA. That's about all that I'm going to know about it, because I really love to go into books blind, especially books by my favorite authors, because I just know that I'm probably most likely already going to love the book. And I will read it regardless of if the plot sounds like a favorite book or not, because I love the author so much. So I don't really need to know much about that one. I just know that I need to read it. I already have this one pre-ordered on Amazon, so it should be coming the day that it releases. The other ones I do not have pre-ordered. The next new release I have on my list is One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I, again, don't know much about this one. I've only read one other book by her, and I do have another one on my list already for my physical TBR, so we'll get to that one a little bit later. But I don't know much about this one. I just know that I like This Summer Will Be Different is the book that I read by her last summer, and I really enjoyed that one, so I definitely want to read some more by her. So it sounds like it is about a girl who goes to like a lake house with her grandma when she was younger, and she took a picture of 3 teenagers on a boat, and that photo apparently changed her life, and she's now a photographer. But I think she goes back to where that photo was taken. I don't really know much else about that. It's a romance. The next new release that I have is My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I know this one is about a group of friends, and that's about all I know. I've read 2 books by him, and I have another one on this list as well in my physical TBR, which I'll get to later, again, like Carly Fortune. But I really enjoyed the 2 books that I've read by him, so I definitely want to expand my repertoire of the books that I've read from him. And I know this one follows a group of friends. Again, I don't know much about this one. That's gonna be a trend for a lot of these books, because I just, again, love to go into books blindly. And then the last new release that I have on this list is The Perfect Divorce by Geneva Rose. I read The Perfect Marriage a while ago, and I really enjoyed it. I've read a lot of books by her, and I've enjoyed all of them. So I'm super excited for this one. It's a sequel to The Perfect Marriage. So I am intrigued to see what the story is going to entail and how she continues that story, because I feel like it did wrap up pretty like neatly at the end of A Perfect Marriage, so I don't really feel like it needed a second book, but I'm excited to see what she does with the story and where she takes it. And then moving on to Kindle / audiobooks that I have on my radar. I'll start with the one audiobook that I know I'm going to get to because I started it today. It is God of the Woods. I have been seeing this for a while. My best friend really enjoyed this book, so I knew that I wanted to give it a try, and I've also seen a couple other booktubers talk about it. But it's The God of the Woods. I am only 6% into it right now, so not very far, but it's like a mystery kind of book. Right now you're just getting to know all of the characters, but it takes place at a summer camp, and one of the campers goes missing. It's about all I know right now because that's all that I've gotten to in the book so far, but I heard a couple mixed reviews on it. Some people really enjoyed it, some people didn't like it as much, but like I said, it was my best friend, one of my best friends, one of my best friend's favorite books. So I am giving it a chance, and I'm super excited to continue that one. And then the next Kindle book is one that, again, I've already started, and that is Mother of Death and Dawn. This is the third book in War of Lost Hearts trilogy. I read the first two, like, it's been like 8 months since I've read the second one, so I did have to look up in-depth spoiler about what happened in the first two because it's been so long since I've read them, I kind of forgot. But I am really enjoying this one so far. I don't know much about where this one goes. It just continues the story, and there is war going on. I am 12% into this book, so don't know much yet, but I know it's probably going to be intense because it's the third in a trilogy and there is some wars going on. So there's that. And then the next one that I have on my Kindle that I'm excited to read is Cloud Cuckoo Land. Again, my best friend highly recommended this one, so I am excited to get to this one. I do not know what this one is about, but it's by the author of All the Light We Cannot See, and I really enjoyed that book. So I have high hopes. I don't know what it's about. My best friend recommended it, and I immediately downloaded it. So we have very similar taste in books, so if she likes it, I'm most likely going to like it. So, I mean, there are obviously a couple flops here and there of books that I really enjoyed that she didn't, or vice versa. But I'm excited to see about that one because she recommended it. And then the last book on my Kindle that I have downloaded already is one that I don't know much about because I saw it from a author on TikTok. But it sounded really cute. It is called Trip Switch. This is what it looks like. It is by Alison Specca. I don't know much about it except that these two people are on vacation in Greece, and Greece is the #1 place in the world that I want to visit. So, of course I had to pick it up because it's set in Greece. I couldn't not hear about this book by this author and hear that it's set in Greece and not immediately download it. So, and what better time to read a vacation book set in Greece than during the summer? If I don't get to it this summer, it's going to just sit on my Kindle shelf until next summer because it's the perfect time to read it. So obviously, I had to add it to the TBR. That is all of the books that I have for new releases and Kindle / audio. So now we are getting into my physical books, which is a big chunk of what I have on this list. Starting off strong with the physical TBR books, I have Kristen Hanna, The Four Winds. I would really like to get to this one. I have read a couple Kristen Hanna books and I've loved them so far. I've read 3 Kristen Hannas and I've loved all of them. They've all been 4 stars or above. And I have 2 on this list, but this is the first one. This one is, I know about the Dust Bowl, Texas. It looks like it is a time jump. Some of it takes place in 1921, some of it takes place in 1934. And I've never read a book set during the Dust Bowl, so interested to see how this one goes. I found this copy at Goodwill, so I love that for me because it was only like a couple dollars, but this is the first book on the physical TBR. And then I guess we'll just stick with Kristen Hanna and go to the next Kristen Hanna book, which is Firefly Lane. This one I've always wanted to read during spring or summer. I don't really know why. It speaks to me as if it needs to be a summer read. Probably because a section on the back says in the turbulent summer of 1974. So I feel like it takes place in the spring and summertime. But I know this one follows, is it three friends? Two friends? Two friends. It follows two friends during their life. So it's like follows, I think, yeah, spanning more than 3 decades and playing out across the ever-changing face of the Pacific Northwest. Firefly Lane is the international best-selling story of two women and the friendship that defines their lives. This exceptional novel has struck a chord in women around the world. In a way, it is the story of all women, of who we are and what we care about and how much friendship matters. So I am super excited to read this one. I have been struggling recently with finding new friends as an adult, and I have a very small amount of friends. I can probably count them all on one hand, and I feel like this could make me cry. Probably so could The Four Winds. Kristen Hanna makes me cry in all of her books, so I'm excited to get to both of those. And then I have a series that I would like to continue. I read the first book in this series earlier this month. I finished it and I would like to continue it. I don't think I'll be able to get to the full series by the end of summer, but I definitely want to continue it, at least read the second one in the series, but that is Magnolia Park. I have the next two with me. I do not own any more after these two. These are the only two more that I have. I am excited to continue the series and see how it goes. It's very toxic relationship-y, but I'm excited to continue this series. Again, I don't think I'll get to the full series. Hopefully I will at least get the second one read. And then I have a fantasy book. I want to read The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I know this is like a cozy fantasy, and I really love cozy fantasy, and just the picture on the front screams spring and summer to me. So I'm hoping this will be a good one to read in the spring and summer. A lush cottagecore tale full of stolen spell books, unexpected friendships, sweet jams, and even sweeter love. That's just like the very first sentence of this book. So again, like to go into books blind, so I don't know much about it, but I have pretty sprayed edges on it. I am excited to get to this one. On the back it says, "This was a good place with kind people who cared about each other. There was a unicorn in the woods, mermaids in the coves, and the best raspberries she'd ever tasted, and there was Laren." So, sounds like it'll be a cute, cozy fantasy for spring and summer, which I'm excited for because a lot of the cozy fantasy books I feel like are more perfect for fall and winter. So I'm excited to have one for spring and summer. Hopefully it actually is good for spring and summer and not just me thinking that just based off of the cover, but I judge a book by its cover, so it's spring and summer to me. I'm gonna think it's good to read in the spring and summer. One that I don't think necessarily is meant for spring or summer, or really, I don't know when, but it's another fantasy. It's a big one, and it is When the Moon Hatched. I have been wanting to read this one for a while now, and I'm just really intimidated because the whole, like, all the way up to here, this whole first chunk is pronunciation, glossary, and that just intimidates me because it's so much information. but I would definitely like to read this one before the second one comes out. It's just so massive, and I don't know much about this one except that I know there's dragons in it. An assassin. As an assassin for the rebellion group, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that group. Rave's job is to complete orders and never get caught. When a rival bounty hunter turns her world upside down, blood spills, heart breaks, and Rave finds herself imprisoned by the Guild of Nobles, a group of powerful fae who turn her into a political statement. So it sounds really interesting. I've seen amazing things about this online, so I'm very excited to give it a chance. It's just huge, and the glossary / pronunciation at the beginning intimidates me, but hopefully I will get to it by the end of summer. And then for a mystery / thriller that I would really like to get to, I would love to read The First Housemaid. I know this is a trilogy, and ideally, who knows, could finish a trilogy, but I at least want to get to this one. I've read a couple Frida McFadden books, and I have enjoyed them. Some of them I've enjoyed more than others, but I've enjoyed most of them. And I know this book / this trilogy has a very high place in a lot of readers. It's one of the more well-known Frida McFadden books. So I would love to give it a chance and see why it is so well loved by so many different people. I love a good thriller, and sometimes they're just really good like palate cleansers, I feel like, because it's not much brain power, but I do also really like to try to guess if I can figure out the ending or not. And I feel like a lot of Frida McFadden books, I do not end up guessing the ending. They surprise me. So we shall see about this one. And then I have another fantasy. I want to read Rebel Witch. I read Heartless Hunter earlier this year and really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to get to the second and final one in this duology and see how the story wraps up. This one follows Rune, who in the first book, she is a witch in a time where witches are exiled for being a witch, and she by day poses as this socialite in Regency time, and then by night she is the Crimson Moth, and she tries to free witches who are being taken prisoner and being executed for being a witch. And then she falls in love with Gideon, who is the head witch hunter in this town. And so they fall in love, but they both have their own secrets, and they don't know that about each other. Obviously, some things come to light at the end of the first book, so this is just continuing the story and seeing how everything all plays out. I'm really excited to see what happens between the two, and so I'd really like to get to this one by the end of summer, since I have Heartless Hunter still kind of fresh on my mind. And then I have I don't even know what genre this is. It's a newer release, and I'm really excited for it. But it is called Wild Dark Shore. I think it was Haley Pham talk about this book. It sounds really interesting, and it honestly isn't like that big of a book, so I feel like it could be a fast read. I know it's about this man and his 3 children who work on this like little tiny island, and then a woman mysteriously washes on shore of this island that these 4 people are the only residents on. So that's about all that I know. I'm pretty sure it is like a mystery fiction book, so I am intrigued and excited for this one. And also the cover on this is just really pretty. I love the colors together, and it like looks like artwork, honestly. So I'm very excited to get to this one. And then I have a romance book that is the other Carly Fortune book that I have on my list. It is Every Summer After. I don't know what this one's about either. Shocker. 6 summers to fall in love, 1 moment to fall apart, a weekend to get it right. Sounds intriguing. That sounds really interesting, and I feel like this will be the perfect book to sit by the pool and read. So excited for that one. And then I have Better Than the Movies. This one is actually on my 25 and 2025 list that I would like to get to this year. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to like it because I know it's a YA romance, and typically just strict YA romance is not for me anymore. I just feel like I'm getting too old, which is sad, but I still really enjoy YA fantasy, and I haven't really given YA mystery or slash thriller a try in a while, but I have just heard so many great things about this book, so I would really like to give it a shot. But I don't have too high of hopes for it because it is a YA romance. All I know is that it is some people's favorite books of all time. It's a very well-known, well-loved book on the Book Talk, BookTube community. So I'm excited to give it a chance. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it or not, but it's worth a try. We shall see about this one. And then I have My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Frederick Bachman. This is the other Frederick Bachman book that I have on my list. I don't know much about this one either, but I saw it at Goodwill and I've heard it mentioned by a couple people, and I love the Frederick Bachman books that I've read so far. So I don't really know what this one's about, so let's read the back together and find out. Elsa is 7 years old and different. Her grandmother is 77 years old and crazy, as in standing on the balcony firing paintball guns at strangers crazy. She is also Elsa's best and only friend. At night, Elsa takes refuge in her grandmother's stories in the land of Almost Awake in the kingdom of Miamas, where everybody is different and nobody needs to be normal. When Elsa's grandmother dies and leaves behind a series of letters apologizing to people she has wronged, Elsa's greatest adventure begins. Her grandmother's instructions led her to an apartment building full of misfits, monsters, attack dogs, and old croons, but also to the truth about fairy tales and kingdoms and a grandmother like no other. I love the covers of all the Frederick Bachman books and his fonts that he uses for the covers. So I am excited to give this one a try, and hopefully I will like it as much as I've liked his other books. And then I have another fantasy. I have Babel. I don't really know how to pronounce this one, by R.F. Kuang. I have not read any R.F. Kuang books, but this one sounds really interesting. I do also want to get to the Poppy War trilogy that she has as well, but figured this could be a good place to start, mainly because it's the one that I own already by her. Set in 1828, Babel is the world's center for translation and, more importantly, magic. So it sounds like it is a school of translation and magic. Besides, like, I don't really know what that means exactly, but I have heard really good things about this and just about this author in general, so I am very excited to get to this one. Also, I really like the cover of this one as well. It just looks really pretty and like drawn and very artsy, so hopefully this one will be good. I have another romance. It is The X-Vows by Jessica Joyce. I have heard really great things about this one online as well, and I feel like this has been going around Book Talk and Bookstagram and BookTube a little bit more recently, and I am just hopping right on the bandwagon of people reading this book. But it says estranged exes must stick close together to save their best friend's wedding after a string of disasters in this swoony and steamy second chance romance. I love a second chance romance, so I'm excited for this one. And the cover again just screams spring and summer to me. This will be my first book by this author also, so that's fun. I love finding and trying new authors, so hopefully that will be a favorite author eventually. We are getting down to the final four. I have another fantasy, and this one's another cozy fantasy, and it is Bookshops and Bone Dust. This is the second book to Legends and Lattes, and I really enjoyed Legends and Lattes, so I'm excited for this one to continue that series and see how the story plays out. I don't know. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a prequel, a sequel. I don't really know. I feel like this is maybe supposed to be like a prequel, because I know Legends and Lattes follows Viv after she hangs up her sword and no longer wants to fight. But this one says Viv is a young, battle-hungry orc, so I think this is supposed to be like a prequel. Obviously, it came out after Legends and Lattes, but I believe it's supposed to be like a prequel to Legends and Lattes, but either way, I am super excited for this one. And then I have another series that I would really like to start, and again, I don't think I'll be able to finish a full series, especially this is like a 5-book series, I think, but I would like to at least start it. So I already own all of the books in this series. I bought them on the last Amazon book sale thing that they had, but I only brought the first 2 to show you, but that is the Chestnut Springs series. I have read the Rose Hill series, and I have enjoyed that one. Those were my first Elsie Silver books that I've ever read, so I'm excited to read some more by her, and I've heard just amazing things about the Chestnut Springs, and everyone loves this series, so I'm excited to continue or to start this series. Again, I don't think I'll be able to get through the whole series, but I'm hoping to at least read the first, maybe the first and second books and by the end of the summer. I don't really know which one's the first one to start. I think it's Flawless, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm definitely going to have to check Goodreads to make sure I have it in the right order before I start reading them, but this is an interconnected, standalone, small-town romance series, so I'm excited. I love Elsie Silver so far, so hopefully these ones will hold up to the hype that I've seen behind them and my love for the Rose Hill series, and hopefully I will like these ones more, because that tends to be what people think. I have one more fantasy, and again, it's like a cozy fantasy, and that is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. This is the second book in the Emily Wilde series. I really enjoyed the first one. I thought it was really cute, so I'm excited to continue and read the second. When mysterious fairies from other realms appear at her university, Professor Emily Wilde must uncover their secrets before it's too late in this heartwarming, enchanting second installment of Emily Wilde series. And then the last and final book that I have on my Spring and Summer TBR is another romance, and it will be my first Ellen Hildebrand book. My mom is letting me borrow this one because she thinks that I would like it, but it is Summer of '69. I don't know what this one's about, but I'm a big fan of the hippie time period, so I'm excited. That's why she thinks I would like this one, because it takes place during that time period. But the top says, 4 siblings experience the drama, intrigue, and upheaval of a summer when everything changed. The times they are a-changin'. Every year, the children have looked forward to spending the summer in their grandparents' historic home in downtown Nantucket. But like so much else in America this year, nothing is the same. Blair, the eldest sister, is marooned in Boston, pregnant with twins and unable to travel. Middle sister Kirby, caught up in the thrilling vortex of civil rights protests and determined to be independent, takes a summer job on Martha's Vineyard. Beloved son Tiger is an infantry soldier recently deployed to Vietnam. 13-year-old Jessie suddenly feels like an only child, stranded in the house with her out-of-touch grandmother and her worried mother, each of them hiding a troubling secret as the summer heats up. So it sounds really interesting. Honestly, recently I have been reading a lot of books set either during Vietnam or right after Vietnam, which is kind of surprising to me because I've never read a book set in that time period before, but recently I have been reading multiple of them. So this is just continue to add to the collection. But I'm excited to read an Ellen Hildebrand. I have never read a book by her, but I have seen so many great things about this author, especially for the spring and summertime. So adding it to my collection. Again, trying a new author. Maybe it will become a new favorite. Who knows? That is it for my spring and summer TBR. Let me know if you would like to see any of these books in any reading vlogs, and I will try to do that for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!